I tracked my son's stolen phone to an 11-year-old's house, and what he did to it made his mom beg me not to call the police. I never expected a random Tuesday morning to end with me standing on a stranger's doorstep, heart pounding, clutching my car keys like a weapon I didn't know how to use. But that's exactly where I was after my son Liam told me his phone had vanished from his backpack during recess. At first, I honestly thought he misplaced it. Kids do that. 11-year-olds especially do that. But when the Find My iPhone app lit up and pointed to a residential street nowhere near our school, my stomach dropped. I drove there, replaying every possible scenario, from a simple mix-up to something much darker. When the location dot stopped bouncing and rested on a beige house with a peeling mailbox, I swallowed hard and walked to the door. A woman answered, mid-40s, polite smile, tired eyes. I told her I'd tracked my son's phone to her home. She blinked, confused, then called her son downstairs. He showed up with 2 friends behind him, all 3 boys shifting awkwardly. I asked calmly at first if they had the phone. They denied it immediately, swearing they'd never even seen it. I didn't push too hard. I'm a single mom. I know how overwhelming confrontation can be. The other parents arrived, and after exchanging numbers and talking circles around the situation, I left feeling frustrated but certain. One of those boys had it. You can just tell sometimes when the eye contact breaks too fast or the shoulders tense for no reason. An hour later, the first mom called me again. Her voice sounded different, shaky. She said she checked her outdoor cameras and saw the boy from the second house holding a phone that looked exactly like Liam's. Suddenly, everything clicked. Minutes later, that boy's mother showed up at my door with her son. Both looked terrified. The kid's eyes were red, and he couldn't even look up. I didn't want to scare him. I just wanted the truth. And finally, he told me he'd taken it and smashed it. It wasn't an expensive phone, just an older iPhone SE. But for us, especially with me working full-time just to keep steady, it mattered. His mom offered to help replace it. She even agreed to contribute $100 so I could get a similar used one. I thought that would be the end of it, but I had no idea the real problem was just beginning. For the first 2 days after she promised to pay, I tried to be patient. I told myself she was probably busy, maybe overwhelmed, maybe embarrassed. I'm a mom, I get it. Parenting doesn't come with a manual, and sometimes emotions knock all logic out of a person. But by day 3, when my text started sitting on delivered with no reply, a different kind of feeling kicked in. It wasn't anger, it was disappointment. I had genuinely believed her when she stood on my doorstep with her son, both of them teary-eyed, apologizing and promising to make it right. I didn't tell Liam the full story, only the part where the kid admitted to taking the phone. I didn't want him thinking the world was full of people who run from responsibility, but he could tell something was off. Every time my phone buzzed, he would look up, half hoping it was news about replacing his. I kept reassuring him that we'd sort something out, but honestly, I felt guilty. I couldn't afford a new device instantly, not with bills stacked the way they were. By day 5, my patience had fully evaporated. I sent her a simple message. Hey, checking in again. Please let me know when you can send the $100 you agreed to. Nothing. The next morning I called, straight to voicemail. That happened twice. The sinking feeling in my stomach grew heavier. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was the principle. Her son made a mistake. Kids do. But she was the adult here. Walking away from her promise wasn't just irresponsible. It sent her own kid the message that consequences don't matter. On day 7, I tried one last time. I don't want this to escalate, but if I don't hear from you, I will have to report the incident, including the destruction of the phone, to the police. Still nothing. I sat there staring at my screen, torn between 2 instincts, wanting to let it go for the sake of peace and wanting to protect my son by standing firm. If I didn't hold this boundary, what was I teaching him? That people could walk over you if they cried hard enough? I went to bed that night with the decision already forming in my mind. If she wouldn't step up, I'd take this to someone who would. The next morning, I picked up my phone with a knot in my stomach, ready to follow through. I woke up earlier than usual the next morning, partly because I hadn't really slept. I kept imagining the conversation I'd have with the police, how I'd explain that an 11-year-old had stolen my son's phone, lied about it, smashed it, and that his mother had promised to help replace it, then vanished. I wasn't looking for revenge. I wasn't trying to ruin a kid's life. I just wanted accountability, something I've worked hard to teach Liam since he was old enough to understand right from wrong. Before getting dressed, I sent her one last message. I'm heading to the police station this morning to file a report. If you want to resolve this before then, please send the payment or call me immediately. I didn't expect a reply. She'd ignored everything else. So I got Liam ready for school, packed his lunch, and tried not to let him see the stress on my face. He asked me quietly, Mom, did they pay yet? I told him no, but that I was working on getting it handled. He nodded, but the look in his eyes, frustration mixed with disappointment, made something tighten in my chest. Kids shouldn't have to learn so early that some people can't be trusted. After dropping him off, I sat in my car in the school parking lot for a moment, staring at the message thread on my phone. Still nothing. That sealed it. I started driving toward the police station, rehearsing the facts in my head so I wouldn't get emotional when explaining them. But halfway there, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen at a red light and saw her name. Not a call, a text. And not a message either. A payment notification. Exactly 100. For a moment, I just stared, unsure whether to feel relieved or irritated that she'd finally acted only when legal. Consequences became real. I pulled into a parking lot and sat there, letting the tension drain from my shoulders. After a full week of excuses and silence, she had suddenly found the motivation to to do what she'd promised from the beginning. A minute later, another text came in. Sorry, things have been hectic. That was it. 7 days of ignoring me, and now a 5-word message. I didn't respond. I didn't trust myself to be polite. Instead, I forwarded the payment screenshot to my own phone, saved it, and took a deep breath. The situation was technically resolved, but the sour taste of how it unfolded lingered, and I still hadn't decided whether to drop everything, or file the report anyway. Even after the payment came through, my mind didn't settle the way I expected. I thought relief would hit me immediately, that I'd feel closure and move on. But instead, a strange mix of frustration and unease sat heavy in my chest. I kept replaying the past week, wondering if I'd somehow pushed too hard, or if I'd actually not pushed hard enough. It wasn't about punishing an 11-year-old. It was about the example being set for him. What lesson did he learn? That lying works until you're caught on camera? That promises matter only when consequences show up? Later that afternoon, after picking Liam up from school, the situation resurfaced in the most unexpected way. He climbed into the car quietly, which wasn't like him. Usually he'd talk about soccer or lunch or something random that happened in class. When I asked what was wrong, he hesitated before saying, "Mom, the kid who stole my phone, he told people it wasn't his fault. He said you scared him." I felt my jaw clench. What exactly did he say? That you threatened his mom, he whispered. For a moment, I couldn't even process it. I had gone out of my way to stay calm during the entire ordeal. I hadn't raised my voice, hadn't cornered anyone, hadn't said a single thing out of line. But kids talk, and sometimes parents rewrite history to protect themselves from looking irresponsible. It stung, not because a child repeated it, but because his mother likely fed him that narrative instead of owning what happened. When we got home, I went back through the messages. My words were measured, factual, polite. Even when she ignored me for days, I didn't snap. And yet somehow I was being framed as the intimidating adult. For a second, I wondered if I should have just let the whole thing go from the beginning. Maybe this was more trouble than it was worth. But then Liam said softly, "Mom, did I do something wrong? Is that why my phone got taken?" That single question erased every doubt I had. No, this needed to matter. Not because of money, not because of pride, but because my son deserved to know that. People don't get to mistreat him without accountability. I pulled him close and told him none of this was his fault. And in that moment, I realized the decision I'd been wrestling with all morning wasn't actually that complicated. Whether or not I filed a report wasn't about them. It was about him. That night, after Liam went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table with the house finally quiet. The payment notification was still open on my phone, like some kind of reminder that the situation was technically resolved, but emotionally far from it. I kept thinking about what Liam asked in the car, whether he'd done something wrong. No child should ever internalize someone else's bad choices like that, and maybe that was what bothered me the most. The other mom didn't just avoid responsibility. She let her son rewrite the story so he could feel like the victim. I pulled out the incident notes I'd typed to bring to the police station earlier that day. Everything was documented. The tracking data, the camera footage the first mom shared with me, the text admissions, even the timestamps of every message I sent. I'd prepared all of it because I thought I wouldn't get the payment. Now that I had it, I still wasn't sure what to do. Filing a report would put something on record. Not a criminal charge, but a documented incident. It might help if this family had future issues. But part of me wondered if keeping the peace was more important. I slept on it. The next morning, as I waited in the drop-off line at Liam's school, something unexpected happened. The first mom, the one whose camera footage had exposed everything, knocked on my car window. She looked uncomfortable, as if she knew something I didn't. After I stepped out, she apologized for startling me and then admitted she'd heard some things from the other boy's mother. "She's telling people you harassed her," she said softly, "that you threatened her family and demanded money. I know it's not true. I saw how calmly you handled everything, but she's making it sound like you extorted her." My stomach dropped. Extorted? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman who ignored me for a week, only paying when I warned her I'd go to the police, she was now painting herself as the helpless parent, cornered by some aggressive stranger. I felt heat creeping up the back of my neck, not from embarrassment, but from the sheer nerve of it. The first mom sighed. "I just thought you should know. Parents are talking." Something inside me settled with absolute clarity. This wasn't just about a broken phone anymore. This was about protecting my own reputation, my boundaries, and my son from being dragged into someone else's irresponsibility. And suddenly, the decision I had been avoiding didn't feel complicated at all. I drove away from the school that morning with my heart pounding, replaying the words, "She's telling people you extorted her." It almost didn't feel real. I had bent over backward to stay calm, respectful, patient, even when she'd vanished for days. And now she was twisting the story into something ugly to save face. That wasn't just unfair, it was dangerous. I work hard to maintain my integrity, in my job, in my community, and especially around my son. The thought of being painted as someone who bullies children and manipulates parents for money lit a fire in me I didn't expect. By the time I got home, I wasn't wavering anymore. I gathered the documentation I'd already prepared, timestamps, texts, the camera screenshots, everything. Not out of spite, not out of anger, but because I needed the truth to exist somewhere official. Whether or not anyone else wanted to rewrite the narrative, I wasn't going to let a lie replace what actually happened. At the police station, I explained the situation calmly from start to finish. The officer listened, asked clarifying questions, and wrote everything down. I told him I wasn't pressing charges. I didn't want to punish an 11-year-old with something that could follow him into adulthood. What I wanted was a formal incident record, something that proved I hadn't harassed or extorted anyone, something factual, unemotional, neutral. The officer nodded and told me it was reasonable, especially given the accusations being spread. After filing the report, a strange sense of peace settled over me. Not satisfaction, not triumph, just relief. I had done what I could. I had told the truth, and I had protected my own name without tearing down a child in the process. A few days later, word must have reached the other mom. She sent a message, not an apology of course, but a curt line. "Next time you have an issue, come to me directly instead of involving the police." I didn't bother replying. There was nothing left to say. That evening, while Liam and I sat on the couch picking out a replacement phone online, he looked at me in that quiet way kids do when they're studying you. "Mom," he said softly, "did you fix everything?" I wrapped my arm around his shoulders. "Yeah," I told him. "I fixed what mattered." He nodded, satisfied. And for the first time since the whole ordeal began, I felt the knot in my chest finally loosen. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't pretty. Sometimes people twist it, resent it, or run from it. But at the end of the day, the example we set for our kids, the truth we stand on, is what lasts. And that was worth more than any phone.